going to move to public comments. When addressing the board, please provide your name and address for the record and note a 3-minute limit to speak to the board. Please, if you choose, submit a statement in writing to the board. Please know that the board will listen to comments, but will not comment or ask questions of those who address the board. And the first one I have is Laura Riegel. You grab the microphone and we're down. Fine.
Sorry, I'm late, everybody.
Laura Riegel, Lemont, Illinois. I have a few questions that I'd like to ask the board tonight, so I'll leave it up to any one of you to answer this question. What is the fund balance in the debt service fund as of today? Mr. Molitor, Mrs. Kelly, Mr.
Mary, what was
Perry?
the advice that you had looked up on?
I think
Mrs.
Al
Germany
is, yes, it's fine. Yeah, if you would like to provide information.
Okay, Mrs.
It's
Germany.
not required, but it's
Okay.
Bond payment was paid on the 30th, I believe, somewhere thereabouts. So it's probably about 1.6, 1.7 million, somewhere thereabouts.
Now, where are you running?
Sorry.
Like, you sound out of breath.
So is it, the answer is 1.7 million?
Off
She's
the top of
looking
my
at
head.
1.877.
Okay, 1.877. Does that include the payment that was made in December? It does? Okay. What percentage of, Mr. Molitor, Mrs. Kelly, Mr. Kerrigan, Mr. Demeyer, Mr. Maley, what percentage of the 2012 taxes was collected this year?
Is this a quiz?
I'm just asking a few questions.
Yes,
I mean-
but we've been advised by our attorneys that this is, we are free to listen to you, but unless you want to put it in writing, we really,
You were advised by your attorneys. Which attorney firm advised you that you don't answer public questions during a public hearing?
During this public hearing, you may.
You're told that you're supposed, your staff is telling you that as a board member, you're supposed to respond to questions during a public hearing, is what I'm hearing.
if you have the information, if you have the information in front of you, you may. May is different than have
You
to.
may. Okay, I think from what I've attended in the school board meetings, it's reported by the business manager to this board multiple occasions throughout each board meeting on, basically, I think monthly, with how much is collected. You get that in your board packet. Could somebody please take and tell me the percentage for the 2012 taxes that was collected?
Mrs. Riegel, you're asking what our collection?
I'm asking the board what percentage of the taxes was collected. I think it's on the reports that is submitted to them in a monthly statement that they receive every
And
month.
I didn't bring it with me, I'm sorry, Barb.
Actually, it's contained within our audit. Our collection rate is approximately 98%.
So it's about 98%. Okay. And that
He was
stays.
asking what percentage of the budget goes in bond.
No. What percentage of the 2012 taxes was collected? And Mrs. Germany said it's about 98%. And I think that stays pretty well the same from year to year, if I'm correct? And Mrs. Germany's nodding her head yes, so I assume that that would be the same. Okay, with that being said, and we have $1.8 million right now as the debt service fund. What I'd like to know is what the debt service payments from now through June 30th of 2014, what payments we will have outstanding. Does anybody know what the next payment is going to be? We have two people sitting on the board right now that are part of the finance committee. Do we know what the 2014 payment is going to be? Because we have one, I think, in the beginning of June. Is that correct?
We have one more payment this fiscal year.
For the fiscal
I
year?
don't have it in front of me, but
Yes.
you're talking about the June payment?
Yeah. Do we know roughly what it's going to be?
Probably $25,000, something like that.
Okay, so it's
Ms.
under
Riegel,
100,000.
the time is up.
Okay, well, this is a public hearing, so I'm trying to get some information to make sure that I'm
It's still,
correct.
it's still
You still get 3 minutes.
What I'm saying, it's not a public comment, this is a public hearing. With that being said, considering we collect 98% of our taxes, and we have $1.8 million, we have $1.8 million sitting idle in the account. So what I'd like to propose to this board is that you abate the money through this board putting forth a resolution to abate the money to reduce the levy to the taxpayers. This money is not yours to keep. According to District 210's business manager last night, it's the taxpayers' money. It was collected for the bondholders to make payments on the debt service. We do not need to have a levy that is so high in the debt service. And it is not required to be that high from the debt service. You can actually request it to be less. And
Thank you very much.
so you're going to tell me I'm done with my time?
Yes.
Yes.
And I don't have a time restriction
Yes, you do.
with a public hearing. What statute is that? Please cite the statute for me, because I'd like to have a statute that tells me, and what statute and law says that I am restricted to time limit.
We've been told public hearing should be looked at the same as public comments.
And who stated that,
I
Mrs.
can
Laird?
call you back with that information tomorrow, but I don't have that in front of me, obviously.
Okay, you've had this has come up multiple times with this board, and they should be prepared with that information, have it readily accessible if they're going to state that.
I don't have it in front of me, so I will be glad to call you tomorrow with that information.
She's here right now, I don't understand why she can't speak. And neither, I bet you everybody here agrees.
Does anyone else want to speak?
Because they have for 3 minutes or up.
She can have my 3
She can have
minutes.
my 3 minutes.
Can I speak? Board? Okay, you collect, I would like to know what this board's intention is to use that $1.8 million that's sitting idle of taxpayer money. I would like to know what you're going to use those funds for.
Okay, about a year and a half ago, we looked at it, it was $1.6 million surplus in that fund. And one of the options was to take that money and issue a refunding bond and pay back the transportation claim. I was against that because the only time we have that surplus is after we get the second installment from Cook County taxes, which means if the Cook County taxes were late, as they used to be and they could be in the future, we would not have enough money to pay our bonds. So that's the only time we have that excess money. So the other option that we had was a working cash bond, to reestablish the working cash fund, which I did support because the money would still be here, and if Cook County taxes were late, we still had the money to make our bond payments. That's why we can't debate again.
I'm
Does
confused.
that make sense?
No, why are we not debating it yet?
If you get your paycheck on Friday, and sometimes it's late,
Mhm.
you have to have money in your savings account to pay your bills. It's the same concept here. If we don't get that second installment, we don't have that surplus in that fund. It's only in there after the second installment from Cook County.
Okay, so what you're saying is you'd like to have a cushion. So how much of a cushion is necessary? I don't see how we need $1.8 million of the cushion in the fund. Why can't we abate part of that and reduce the tax levy for the taxpayers sitting out in this community?
Do you know how much that would reduce taxes?
It's irrelevant,
Do
Mr.
you know how much,
Melly.
do you know how much it would reduce taxes?
It's irrelevant. It's a reduction of taxes. It's a
I
percentage.
do,
It's still
it's
there.
about $12.
That's $12 for people right now that can use
And
that
that's
$12.
$1.7 million that keeps us solvent.
No, that would say that that this board is saying that they need $1.7 million of a cushion, because that would be considered a cushion in order to make sure you have the money. You just stated earlier, we collect 98% of that. If we collect 98% of the taxes, and that's a pretty well stagnant number, why do we need $1.8 million as a cushion in that account?
Because
We-
it's not a cushion until the second installment comes in. Before that, we're short.
When was the last time that we collected under 98% of the
We don't get it
taxes?
all at the same time. If we don't get the second installment in whatever, August, September, March of the next year, which has happened, we don't have the money.
But the second installment comes in pieces, it doesn't come in at all at one
But
time,
it
so.
doesn't start until 30 days after the bills are issued.
Correct.
It-
But we get the bulk of
Sure, yeah,
it
right.
before the payment. Have we ever come short? Have we ever needed that money? Have we ever come short for that December payment?
A few times.
How much money was it short?
I couldn't tell you because at the time I couldn't go on the financial statements, but I knew we were short.
Hey.
October 2010, 2011, we were short.
Right.
Okay. We're just coming out of this.
But that was for a different reason, and we collect
But we were still
98%.
short.
And it wasn't $1.8 million. So we can abate this money, and we could take and reduce the taxes to the taxpayers. And there's no reason why we can't abate it for a resolution. Its sole purpose is only for the taxes. You can't use it for other things.
Can't hold it.
Yeah, you can't use that money for other purposes. Its only purpose is for the debt service. It's a trust. You cannot use that money in transportation or anywhere else. It's a trust fund for paying debt. It can only be used on debt. So that $1.8 million can be taken and used and abated and reduce the taxes for this community. That's the whole point of this whole conversation. It can't be transferred. It's not like the other funds. It comes in for the clerk, it sits there idle with the lost and cost. And I don't even know if that $1.8 million includes the lost and cost figure. If it includes the lost and cost, you can't spend that money and move that money around. It's for debt service only. The taxpayers gave it to you for debt service, and its sole purpose is for debt service only. So there's no reason why it shouldn't be abated every year, and it shouldn't be given back and used for the sole purpose of what the taxpayers gave it to you for. And you should be abating it, you should be doing that resolution and doing that on a yearly basis to keep the taxes fair to this community. Thank you.